I'm Peter Hatch. I'm the director of gardens and grounds at Monticello.
And have been here for a third of a century.
Been here for a third of a century. Correct, since 1977. And it's been fascinating to see Monticello evolve from sort of a mom and pop operation to a much more vital, educational and preservation-oriented institution.
One thing we're asking everybody to do is imagine you tell somebody, somebody who's never been to Monticello, this is what you do, and they say, well, what's it like? What does it look like? Tell me about it. I've never seen Monticello. Describe Monticello.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is that Monticello means little mountain. And as you come from the east, from Richmond, Virginia, from the Piedmont, this is the first wave of hills that greet you as you travel west to the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Alleghenies beyond. So it's the first kind of immediate wall. It's the front. Not nearly as dramatic as in the Rocky Mountains, but a front nonetheless. And so I think that topographical image is important to realize, that it offers extraordinary views in most directions. To the east, toward Richmond, there's nothing higher between here and Portugal. Extraordinary. You can see for 40 miles today. You can see to Willis's Mountain, 45 miles to the south, where Jefferson would set up his surveying instruments on a notch on top of that mountain in that direction there, because it was due south. On the other side, you look to the west, to the Blue Ridge Mountains, and of course it encapsulates Jefferson's world, looking back to Portugal and the Old World, taking the classics and European Mediterranean culture, and then forging a brand new vision for this continent. So east and west is an important image as well in describing Monticello.
And has the whole, I mean, you're in charge of the grounds and the gardens and all that. Has that changed and grown a lot since you've been here?
Yeah, I think to some extent we set a goal in the late 1970s of restoring Jefferson's landscape to the way it was in his lifetime. The landscape within what's called the second roundabout, which is about 200 yards down the mountain. And so it's been a process of particularly restoring the fruit and vegetable garden in the early and mid 1980s, and restoring the grove, which was Jefferson's ornamental forest on the northwest side of the mountain, and adding a lot of refinements here and there based on the extensive documentary evidence. Jefferson, of course, wrote everything down, but also using archaeological research that investigated the character and the artifacts in the ground to reveal the bones and structures of some of the landscape feature.
Did you ever think when you started this job 32 years ago that this much of your life was going to be devoted to?
No, I didn't think I'd probably last 3 weeks because it was a different world, and it's been a fascinating story of coming to Monticello 17 groundskeepers, and the stories of revolution and drugs and alcohol and sex have been fascinating over the years. But I inherited a large crew of mountain men. It was a fascinating and really different world from the very civilized way we look at things today at Monticello.